Alright, gang, you already know what time it is. It's your boy Moody Star, back again with another video. So, real quick, this video is not going to be too long. And if it is, who cares? Doesn't matter, bro. I'll be having downloads. And in this video, we'll see how long this video is, bro. So, as you can tell, I'm back on my Grizzy. You feel me? I just got my basketball right here. I actually just came from the court. Now this is I guess part one of like my whole spiritual journey, bro. Alright, this is before retention, this is before Moody Star, this is before all of this, dog. And the reason why I actually became somebody that made videos was because I went through a lot at a very young age. Now, this video might be a little bit interesting, so get your popcorn, get your sage, get what you need to get, because, and then, like I said, this might be part one. I'm going to elaborate more on Patreon, but, this video is for the world, and, somebody may relate to my story or may relate to my energy. All right. Now, the first thing I got to say before I fully get into the video and everything is, number one, I am not perfect. Never been perfect. I strive to be perfect, but I was never perfect. Number two, there's a lot of things in this world that happened to me that I didn't ask for. There's a lot of attention that I didn't ask for, especially growing up. There was a lot of different types of like realms that I went to that I didn't ask to be in. You feel me? The enemy don't like me. The opposite of positivity do not like me. Can't stand me. It hates when I'm finding myself, when I'm on my spiritual journey, when I'm on my positive type of vibe. It hates that completely. Now, one of the main ways that this energy tried to attack me was through, overstimulation of, just mainly sex, but just overstimulation of, certain types of drug usage, of course, marijuana, of course, which is kind of light, but it literally kind of like, it made me kind of like be like everybody else. Because I always had thoughts, I always had visions, I always had dreams. And back when I was like 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, when I was going through that era of, trying to find myself, and then also, just getting caught up in stuff that I wasn't supposed to get caught up in, I went through a lot of spiritual ups and downs. Now, let's take it back real quick to age 23 going on to age 24. That's when I had my spiritual awakening. So when you talk about spiritual awakening, it happens in waves. When you start asking yourself or asking questions about the Matrix, how did this come to be? How did religion come to be? When you start asking questions like that, that's when your like third eye is actually starting to open. So that's what was happening, bro. I was learning about the Matrix. One of my good friends, we don't even talk now, but like, I think spiritually we still cool, but we don't even talk now due to just, us growing apart. But I can't lie. He really put me on with a lot of knowledge. I studied Rastafarianism. You feel me? Haile Selassie, I read about him. And it was just talking about how, like, God is like I and I. You feel me? God is within everybody, right? So, as I was going through this journey of learning about the different realms of reality in the Matrix, it made me uncomfortable. Not only did it make me uncomfortable, but it made me start to question things that my parents was doing. some of the teachings that my parents taught me, you know. Now, the thing about it, bro, is that we live in the age of Aquarius. So that means, because we live in the age of Aquarius, what we thought to be the truth, or what we thought to like think that may work, stuff that worked 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, it doesn't work anymore. The thing about knowledge actually evolves over time. You feel me? At one point in time, there was a civilization that had different types of religions. This is BC. This is before Jesus Christ, right? And throughout the ages, throughout the years, they say that the world is only 2,000 years old. It's not. It's older than that. I'm going to tell you right now, it's definitely older than 2,000 years. And I just know that in my spirit type shit. You feel me? But again, there's a lot of knowledge, a lot of wisdom, a lot of just like information that is out now today that wasn't out back 10, 15, 20 years ago. So we were living on a different frequency about 15, 20 years ago, bro. And now with the use of AI, technology, and all of these things that are coming into existence, we are starting to learn things faster. We're starting to learn different natural remedies. Back in my day, nobody ever talked about having a cure for diabetes, HIV, just different diseases, bro. Like back in my day, again, I look young, bro, but I'm like Junior Unk right now. Just call me Unk Moody or Moody Unk. You feel me? I feel like I'm the middle child. So, with that being said, bro, a lot of the stuff that I was researching and stuff, it was just like, all right, cool. Well, this don't make sense. Or like, okay, we follow these rules. Or they say it's okay to eat this and eat that. Not knowing that, you know, we are multidimensional beings. So 10, 15 years ago, when I heard about stuff like we are multidimensional beings or we are not our thoughts, this shit fucked up my mind a little bit. Now, when you've been living life for 20 plus years, understanding like, okay, this was once reality, but then when you get exposed to some new information, that's when your whole world starts to shake. This is why a lot of people now can't wake up. They refuse to let go of the past. They refuse to let go of old beliefs. Even a belief at some point in time will stop serving you, bro. I used to believe a lot of stuff about myself until I realized, I'm like, man, that's not serving me. And, you know, when I'm in Mother Nature, even at a young age, when I was in Mother Nature, I was tapping in. I was always sun gazing. That's one thing. That's the one thing that I've really gravitated to, was being in the sun gazing, and having crazy ass dreams. Crazy dreams. And shit was crazy, right? So for the first time, I started to experience supernatural events that happened within my life. So this is between the age of 20 and 24, right? Between the ages of 20 and 24, bro, I didn't know how to articulate myself. I didn't know how to relay the message. But a lot of like just weird spiritual shit was happening. I was able to see subliminal messages through commercials, through shows, watching basketball games, listening to music. Like, bro, so let's take it back to 23 going on 24. This was like before the summer. Now, every summer that had that like I've experienced in my life, it's always some type of spiritual awakening. And I think like midway through my 20s, that's when I realized, I'm like, oh shit, the summertime is gonna be lit. I know I'm gonna learn something spiritually. I know I'm gonna grow. And every summer, that's how it was. So I remember one time I was chilling with my dog, and we were reasoning, right? And this is like age 23, about to be turned 24. we had these reasonings, and he showed me these different types of books explaining like where the Bible came from, explaining like the African history, explaining what melanin is. One of the first documentaries that I watched growing up that really opened my eyes was Hidden Colors 2. Now they got about like 7 versions of Hidden Colors now. You know, you got Hidden Colors 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's up to like 6 or 7. This was when Dr. Umar Johnson, y'all know Dr. Umar? The one that be talking about, you know, the snow bunnies and stuff. It's not good to be with snow bunnies. Niggas, he's almost like a comedian now. But Dr. Umar, he's been hip to the knowledge for a long ass time. Like he's been studying and stuff, like for real, for real. And he was in Hidden Colors too. So after I watched Hidden Colors 2, I was like, my brain was just like, what the fuck did I just watch? My whole life I believed in just the system. I believed that like we actually had a choice, we actually had a voice to vote for presidents and stuff like that. And if you still think you got a choice, hey, I'm not gonna change your belief. You feel me? I'm not trying to change your belief. I ain't trying to convince nobody of nothing. I'm simply explaining, you know, my spiritual awakening. You feel me? And you know, that was when I was like big on wanting to grow out my hair as well too, because I'm like, dang, bro, I'm talking to all these people who's rastas, they got their locks, they're telling me about the power of the ether of the locks, like how it's your antenna, how like you can get closer, you can get more downloads, and you can pick up on different energies. It's kind of like your sixth sense, you know, when you have hair, right? And I remember me and my dog was having a conversation. We were outside, and then shit got dark because while he was explaining to me certain things, and mind you, he was actually a little bit younger than me, but again, he read a lot of books, he did a lot of research. He also knew this one dread, this call him a dreadhead, or this one dread. He had a book. He had like a store that was pretty much at the flea market off of 79th Street in Miami. If y'all know about 79th Street, it's like the heart of the hood. Okay. So I remember a lot of times, bro, we would catch the bus from Broward County all the way to this bookstore and to the flea market. And my nigga, bro, when I say that the powers that be did an amazing job of hiding knowledge from us, bro, like there literally was hidden knowledge. Like this bookstore, it had DVDs, it had books, it had just all type of information, all type of knowledge. And I'm trying to figure out, like, number one, where the hell did y'all get all this shit from? Number two, how am I just learning about this stuff? You know, and again, my brain was just like, I didn't know how to process it. And it started with, you know, the reasoning. We had a conversation. It was outside. It was clear as day. All of a sudden, as we were talking, so pretty much he'll tell me something, and then I'll have an instant download. But the download would be like a question. So every question that I started to ask, it started to reveal more and more of the spiritual realm. And then it also started to reveal more and more of like how much the illusion is really playing on a lot of people. Now, again, when I'm 21, 22, 23, trying to understand this, I remember back then, YouTube was still fresh out. And I was trying to make a YouTube video, and it was terrible. I think I spoke for like 30 minutes or some shit. And then as I was making the video and I watched it back, I was like, bro, you got to get your thoughts together. The shit wasn't coherent. It wasn't nothing. Like, you feel me? I was trying to explain all the supernatural stuff that was happening to me, and it just wasn't coherent. I didn't know how to really articulate myself. After this conversation, the shit started raining. It started thundering. It was like as if God was listening to our conversation. The more questions I asked and the more downloads I had was the more Mother Nature started to react. Like literally. That was the first time. That was like the first little like if anybody was there with us, y'all would look at me and be like, damn, bro, this shit is just not like the coincidence of everything happening, dog. Like, it's just like, how is this happening when we're having such a powerful conversation? This is why it's very important sometimes. Like, if you're talking to people who are on different frequencies or higher frequencies, you want to have those types of conversations, bro, because you never know what a conversation can lead to, as far as like you learning something, you learning about yourself, you learning about the world, literally unlocking different codes in the matrix, right? So that was the first time. The second time, right, where shit got weird, shit got really weird, right? Um, um, so I want to say, so again, this is still, it's still kind of a blur, because like over the years I try to make myself forget about this experience, but I had a lot of experiences of having psychosis, being in this realm, but not being here. So it's like I'm here physically, but I'm not here mentally at all. Like, I'm seeing and feeling different energies. But like I said, every time I heard a song, every time I seen a commercial, every time I seen a movie or something, it was like a message catered to me for me to understand. It was insane. My playlist back then, uh, I was able to listen, like, pretty much I was able to hear God essentially talking to me through music. Literally, like certain words, certain bars. I remember when this was after I got out of the hospital. I was listening to the song, and it's crazy. Like, the songs were being released at a certain time, like right when I got back out into the world. But after I got out the hospital the first time, which, by the way, I'll elaborate more on the first time of me being in the hospital. This is a lot of information. This is information from over 15 years ago that I been should have talked about. But, I was just in this type of phase of, waking up spiritually, and then just learning about just different stuff within the matrix. But after I got out the hospital the first time, Lil Wayne came out with a song called Crazy. And to the average Christian person, or to the average person who don't listen to secular music, y'all would think that, like, what the fuck? Like, the song Crazy by Lil Wayne, like, first of all, it's Lil Wayne. Second of all, the song is called Crazy. Um, how can you hear God's voice through that song? And again, God, listen, bro. Like, this, like, where we about to go right now, bro. Like I said, dog, it's gonna get a little deep. Some of y'all may not understand. Maybe one day you will. But God literally uses everything as a vessel. When it's time for God to speak to you, God is going to use everything possible in His power to talk to you. And you will know when it's God. You know when it's God versus when you know it's like some type of low vibrational demonic entity. Okay? Like, I knew the difference growing up. So I'm listening to the song Crazy by Lil Wayne, and the nigga was just literally almost talking about my life. Now I can't remember exactly word for word all the words, all the bars that stuck out to me, but that song stuck out to me. The music video stuck out to me, especially since I just came out of a hospital, the mental home, right? Mental hospital, right? So prior, like, when I got out, bro, and I'm just like, bro, this shit cannot be happening. Like, I thought, like, after leaving the hospital, I thought, like, everything would go back to normal, but no. Um, I would have conversations with my parents, right? They thought it was a devil in me. They thought it was a demon. They thought it was something wrong with me, because I'm simply questioning everything. And they always say in Christianity, they always say that God says to never question Him, never to question. And if you understand the history of Christianity and how it came to be, I'm not trying to say that Christianity is bad, because it's not bad, but the people who put it in power, they remixed it and they used it to control people like you and me. They used it to limit our spiritual awakening. They don't want us to wake up to a certain frequency, because once we wake up to a certain frequency, we will understand that God was never on the outside of us. God was inside us the whole time. The reason why it's important to retain your energy, practice retention, go within and be high vibrational, is because that's where God resides. That's where God lives. You are literally charging yourself up from within using the God life force energy. God put that energy inside you. You feel me? So there was a point in time, and maybe I will talk about it. Let's talk about it for a little bit. I'll talk about like the first half, right? Because actually, this is, like I said, this is part one. It's gonna get very surgical, but so the second time that like something supernatural happened while I was around other people was there's a time, and this was when I was smoking at the time, right? But when I was smoking, it was more of a like, I wasn't smoking like how, like, I was smoking like in my late 20s and shit like that. It was just like literally like maybe once in a week or twice a week or something like that. We had a session at my homeboy's house, and he was like, "Yo, bro, let's go over to one of his friends' house, right?" So we drive to his friend's house. I remember I was driving a Burgundy Toyota. We drive to his friend's house. We get in the house, um, and I go into the room. He was like, "Yo, bro, roll this up and da da da. Get ready, right?" Now, as all of this is happening, bro, like my mind is like I'm picking apart the Matrix, quite literally. I was able to tap into my God, like my God life force. I was able to tap into an entity, to a being that actually used to live here thousands of years ago. Now, I know that shit sound crazy. Some of y'all gonna think that I'm a little loco. It doesn't matter. I don't care, because everything now is coming full circle. I tapped so much into that energy that I became that being. So I had woken up that being, right? But the problem with me waking up, I woke up too fast, and my energy was so potent that anybody around me could feel the energy. Now remember, I'm in the room, I'm rolling up or whatnot. Didn't even smoke. That day I didn't smoke at all. I was just rolling up. And then a download came to my mind. I was like, damn, bro. Again, it's the summertime. I'm like, damn, bro, like, how can I make money? That was the main thing. How can I make money? What can I do to, it's like, okay, if I'm this ancient being, like, what are we doing here? Like, why is everybody eating meat? Why is everybody buying stuff, paying for stuff? Now, mind you, if you've been paying attention to my channel, paying attention to some of the videos, especially in the past couple of weeks, one of the lucid dreams that I had was me being in a place where everybody lived at, but nobody was paying for anything. We paid, but it wasn't like actual money. It was like they looked at you, they scanned you, and based off of your life force energy, it uh it depends on like where you were vibrating at, whether or not you can afford to have the trade off or whatever you were trying to get. Um, so I remember I'm just thinking, bro. I'm just like thinking, just brainstorming, right? All of a sudden, my homeboy comes in, right? He's like, "Yo, what's good?" Da, da, da. We just, I was just talking to my dog. I'm like, "Yeah, cool." His dog comes in. The number one pops into my mind. The number one pops into my mind. I'm like, damn. So the power of one, like, and the shit is crazy, bro. And I know this shit sound like it don't make sense, but this shit spooked the fuck out of me, because when I got obsessed with the number one, all of a sudden his homeboy, he walked in and he started talking about how he wanted to do some type of business and how everything was going to, how he was coming up with like a plan for us to make money. Um, I didn't say anything to him, but as soon as I started to say, I started to count. I would say one, and then I would count to three, then I would count to six, then I would count to nine. Every time I went from one to three to six, shit got weird. I don't know why, but my friend was in a room, and then his homeboy was in a room, and then his homeboy baby mama walked into the room. By the time I got to six, by the time I got to nine, his friend's daughter walked into the room, bro, and walked straight up to me, dog. The shit got weird because it seemed as though everybody started gravitating towards me in the room. And I'm like, why is everybody standing so damn close to me? What the fuck going on? Like type shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, yeah, I'm tuning into these different types of numbers. But how are y'all on my frequency? How y'all understanding what I'm saying? I got freaked out. Why the little girl was there in the room, I don't know. I don't know why she walked up to me and just stared at me. And then I was like, bro, you not gonna get your daughter, bro? Like, what the fuck is going on? Um, so what I proceeded to do was stop. Like, I literally stopped thinking about the numbers. I stopped counting because I'm like, why the fuck every time I say three or six or nine, people start to gather around me. Now there's a saying that like it only takes two or more people within a room to manifest greatness. And it was me, my homeboy, his baby moms, and the girl. The baby girl. So it was 5 people total. I got scared a little bit. I was like, yo, bro, I don't know what's going on, bro, but like, let's go, dog. Let's just leave. I told my dog, I'm like, yo, the energy is a little weird. Let's leave. So he was like, all right, bro, cool, we gonna leave. So we leave, right? We drive to Subway. Now this is where to everybody else, this is where I kind of like was going through my first episode of Psychosis ever. Because I thought I was that ancient being from thousands of years ago, I literally walked into Subway. I was like, all right, I'm gonna want me a sub. I want it veggie sub. I want this on it. I want that on it. I literally asked for the sub. And I was like, that's it. They were trying to tell me the price. I ignored it. I said, I don't, what do you mean price? Now, mind you, again, I'm tapping into an ancient being that used to be here, that never used to have to pay for shit. So I'm talking to the cashier. I'm like, yo, like, I'm gonna need the sandwich. And they're like, no, you have to pay. I'm like, why the fuck is everybody acting so weird? So my homeboy had to come in and save me. He was like, no, bro, it doesn't work like that, dog. Like, you have to pay. They're not on that type of frequency to understand what you're asking for. So mind you, I embarrassed myself, but I also was tapped into this energy that it was just undeniable. I'm like, hold on, wait. If I could see from this being's point of view, why the fuck everybody is, paying for stuff? Why is, why is the system set up how it is? And before you know it, my dog was like, yo, come on, let's go, let's leave. And I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. And then we got into the car. He's like, bro, you can't just go in there and talk about you being like, tapping into this energy, unseen energy, and you can't operate like that. The rest of the world, it's not on your frequency. And it was weird. I vividly remember doing this shit. Trust, I remember it. And again, a lot of people say like, yo, you crazy. You feel me? But it was just too many coincidences happening that led up to that moment. So I ended up going home, And my parents, you know, they seen that I wasn't acting the way how I usually acted. They got scared. You know, again, they thought it was something wrong with me. So they was like, you know what? We got to check this nigga into the mental home. Um, One of the last things that I remember watching before I went into the hospital, some movie came on and it was called Heaven is for Real. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Why is this movie coming on the day before I go away to the hospital? Right? So I see the movie. I didn't pay much attention to it because there was other like movies that was out as well, like superhero movies and stuff. And it was just like, as I was either seeing the commercial about these movies or as I was actually seeing like a few movies and stuff, bro, like as I'm even talking about this shit now, like I'm starting to get chills and talk about it because shit was crazy. It felt like the rapture kind of happened, but it happened silently. It probably happened in a different dimension. And for those who had the eyes and those who had the vibration, they felt the shift. My family did not feel the shift. My family was on, I'm not trying to say that I was on a higher vibration. I was just in a different realm. We was physically we was in the same place, but I was in a different realm. And because I was in a different realm, I was able to see through the eyes of a deity, of a certain type of deity. I was able to see through the eyes of who they call whatever. You get what I'm saying? I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm him because I'm not him. You feel me? We all have God inside of us, but I'm not him. I'm not like the savior or anything. I'm not. I was just able to see through his eyes. And I noticed that it was a lot of low vibrational stuff going on with my sister and the guy that she was dating, which eventually turned out to be the father of her children, which is like my niece and nephew. But I was kind of telling my sister, like, yo, there's something wrong with this energy. It was something wrong with her boyfriend or husband, or, you know, her husband at the time. I peeped before because, you know, eventually they, like years later, they got a divorce. So before they even got married and stuff, I already peeped. I already felt like, yo, this nigga, he ain't supposed to be around. Like F this nigga. I was literally like, F this nigga, bro. Leave him alone. And then to my parents, I was like, y'all need to change how y'all eat. I know I'm your son, but y'all need to change how y'all eat. Y'all eating too much meat. Y'all eating too much dead flesh. They didn't give a fuck about that. They thought I was losing my fucking mind. So, I remember literally the night before they took me to the hospital, my mom, she called the police. She called police on me because she didn't know what was going on. She didn't understand that I was going through a spiritual awakening. And because I had the embodiment of a deity that lived thousands of years ago, this shit was weird. It was like a disconnect. I wasn't disruptive. I didn't hurt nobody. But I simply was just seeing, I'm like, bro, we need to be listening to this type of music. We need to be eating this type of food. All of these things that I talk about now in my videos, bro, I was saying that back then. But I didn't know the scientific breakdown behind all of that. My mom calls the police. 2 policemen come in. I walked up to the police. I was like, police lie. And they're like, are you harming anybody, or has he done anything? He's like, no, he's not harming nobody, but he's just scaring me. You feel me? So they couldn't do shit. They had to leave because I wasn't doing anything, you know. So the next day, I guess like the police suggested that they take me to the mental home and, you know, whatever. So the next day, my parents said, hey, we're going to go for a ride. Now, mind you, I didn't know where the fuck I was going. It is what it is. God used music, basketball, and movies to talk to me before I left, right? So I get into the car. They said, "Oh, we're gonna just go to Auntie such and such house." Me not knowing they was taking me to the hospital. We get to the hospital. They was like, "Oh, we're just gonna stay here for a second. Oh, just sit here." And I remember there was a security guard that was sitting at the desk, and he was like in a chair, like one of these chairs. As soon as they seen me walk in, he was like, "Oh snap! Oh, you gonna check him in?" And they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna check him in." The nigga was in a chair like this. He balled up a piece of paper, turned to the trash can, and shot that bit, and went straight in. So apparently, this deity, this entity, was very talented. The one that I was like tapping into, and at the time, was LeBron playing for the Heat? I don't know if LeBron was playing for the Heat. No, 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 no. I don't think that. I think this is before he. This is before 2012. Nah. No, no, no. Yeah, he actually was playing for the Heat. Excuse me, because 24, 2020, 2004. Was it before? No, 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 no. I'm tripping. My bad. I got the years mixed up. This is before he played for the Heat. But yo, symbolically, bro, I was able to tap into the energies of different types of basketball players. Um, and shit was crazy, bro. Shit was fucking crazy. Whenever I got pretty much like I went into the let me just stick to trying to keep this in chrono keep this in order. I get into the hospital, homeboy shoots the shot. I sit down and my peoples leave. Now it's just me in the hospital. They finally check me in or whatnot, and then now I'm in population with people. By the time I realized, I was like, what the fuck? Like, when am I going home? They didn't want to let me go home. I ended up getting vapor acted. And I remember, like, I started to see people that was in the hospital, but they favored people that I knew in real life. So one of my best homeboys, two of them was in there. The pastor of my church at the time, he was there. My sister was there. My older sister was there. My mom was there. My dad was there. These are different. These are people, but they had the spirit. They had the souls of the people that I knew in real life. One of my other homeboys, his name is Seville. The nigga, there was a security guard. I'm talking about he looked just like this nigga, bro. But and his mannerisms was just like homeboy that I knew. So I'm just like, okay, why I'm in this mental home with these people that I never met before. Why does it seem like I know these people though? So eventually I get to my room or whatnot, and then here comes this one guy. His name was Anthony. He had two names. His name was Anthony, and I forgot the other name, but I just remember Anthony, right? And apparently he was on the spectrum. Now, the thing about it, when you talk about people on the spectrum, these are people who, you know, have may have Down syndrome or something like that, or whatever the case is. Niggas started talking to me in codes, bro. The nigga said, like, you know why you in here, right? I'm like, nah, why am I in here? And he was like, it's because of your powers. I'm like, what do you mean powers? He's like, yeah, you gotta learn how to control your powers. And like the nigga was strong now. He was strong and his hand was kind of moving or whatnot, but nah. This nigga, I seen him with my own eyes do a magic trick. Y'all ain't gonna believe me when I say this. But this nigga's like, so he's telling me like, yo, you got powers, but you need to learn how to control it. Like you just can't go out there and say that you're this deity or you're saying you're this person. You have to learn how. And mind you, again, he's on the spectrum, but like, why did he come up to me and start talking to me? Is because I think he was kind of like my brother from a different time and a different era, and he was telling me like, yo, like your power. So I kept on asking him like, yo, so do I really have powers? He's like, yeah. And then he was like, watch this. So the setting of like the hospital, right? You got the middle part where all the nurses and stuff is at, like putting in like the computer about the information and stuff like that. They had all the nurses in the middle. They had a bathroom on this side, and then on the other side there's a door. When you go through that door, it's a cafeteria, and then there's another door that when you man about to cry talking about this shit. There's another door. You open the door and you can go outside, and that's where people will have rec at. You got the basketball court, and then you had like this tall ass gate. So he was like, "Watch this." The nigga got up. He walked into the bathroom. I sat there and watched the bathroom the whole fucking time. Mind you, I wasn't on meds at the time. I wasn't taking no like they was trying to force me to take meds, but the first couple of days and shit, I ain't want to take it because I ain't trusted. The nigga walks through the bathroom. Somehow, some way, he walks through the door outside. Like he comes from outside. He walks through the bathroom. I don't know. So I don't know if this nigga went through a portal. I don't know if the nigga went to the bathroom, ducked, probably opened the door and snuck out and came outside. But bro, when I seen this nigga do this, I couldn't fucking believe it. I was like, yo, how the fuck did you do that? How the fuck did you do that? How were you able to teleport from the bathroom to outside and then walk through the door like it was nothing? Nobody said nothing. I'm like, yo, can you teach me how to do that shit, nigga? Like, you feel me? And so basically, like when he came through the door type shit, and I'm leaving out a lot of details and stuff, but I know this is kind of like I told you it's gonna be a long video. Um, but I remember like he walked through the door. He was like, he would just tell me random shit, bro. Like, and then he gave me like a white Bible. He's like, oh, read this Bible or read this chapter. You feel me? And as I was reading the Bible, like every time I read a word, the words said something, but like because of the frequency that I was in, because of the deity that I was tapping into, I read that shit like totally different. I'm just like, bro, this shit is talking about me. It's saying that like if you are quote unquote any person or any being that would consider themselves to be quote unquote godly or God wouldn't say that, number one. And number two, it's like it was pretty much saying like let your energy speak for itself. That's where I got that terminology from. You gotta let the energy speak for yourself. People in this realm can't understand the frequency that you're coming from, right? So some shit happened. One of the other days while I was in there, something happened where we was all we was all lining up to wait to get our food, right? And we were all in line, and shit was crazy in there. Cause man, remember, it's a crazy house, so you got different people from all walks of life. You got hood niggas, you got a few fine bitches in there too, nigga. Don't get it twisted. Just cause them bitches is crazy, y'all don't take away from how fine they was, nigga. Some of the finest shit that I seen was in that damn hospital. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. And we were all waiting in line, right? And then shit got hectic. The energy just got chaotic in there. And it seemed like people was gonna fight each other. They wasn't fucking with me because I wasn't really talk. I'm not the type of person to talk to people like that. I was just literally chopping it up with Anthony. Shit got crazy. So what ended up happening was, oh, I remember Anthony. He was showing me different card tricks too, bro. I don't know who the fuck that was, bro. I don't know who that was, but from the stuff that I remember, it was so surreal that I had to make myself forget by the time I got back into civilization and stuff. This is why I was never really normal growing up. But we was all in line. Niggas was loud, and even the workers. It's one thing where when if everybody was just tweaking out. Of course, you're in a crazy house. Of course, everybody gonna tweak out. the people who worked there was a part of this whole illusion. It was loud as fuck, and what ended up happening was Anthony, he started, I think he snapped his finger, and then the whole room got quiet. The whole entire room got quiet, and like it's like everybody started to become under this hypnosis based on what Anthony was doing. He was walking around to people, to different individuals. He even walked around to one of the workers that was working there, bro. It was two. I remember it was a tall black dude and it was a short black lady that worked there. Nigga, they was under the spell. They was under the illusion, bro. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Everybody was just kind of just. It's like they were there, but everybody just stopped talking. So Anthony was like, "Yo, watch this." He was like, "Walk outside." We walked outside. Started pouring out. He said something. We had a conversation that I guess I ain't gonna give out too many details, but he said something. Shit instantly started raining. It started raining. He was telling me something about like, okay, um, if you plan on smoking and stuff, because again, apparently, to the world, they basically said that like it was some type of drug induced type of thing. That's the reason why I was there, right? Um, but it didn't make sense because prior to me going in there, like I think it was like 3 or 4 days that I was completely sober. This is why, like, when I'm completely sober, bro, like, it should be crazy as fuck. Sometimes I actually have to smoke or eat or do something to feel like I'm back into this realm of reality. But I remember he took me outside. He was like, "Oh, never smoke with nobody again," such and such. He said some other shit. I turned around again. It stopped raining. He said something about like we are water and you gotta tap back into your element. We go back inside and he was like, just go back in line. And then everybody just started, like, it just got quiet and everybody got their food. And it's crazy. It was like he put everybody under a spell, under some type of hypnosis, except me. Because he told me to go outside. How the fuck did we even go outside? The doors was locked. I don't know how the fuck we got back in, but we did. But basically, after that happened, some more supernatural stuff was happening and stuff, and then eventually, of course, I had to take the meds and stuff, and then, you know, um, as I got clear minded, he was like, "Pretty soon you're gonna go back home, but make sure you clean yourself up, brush your hair, wash up, brush your teeth, wipe off your mouth, just like different stuff." Because I was so like gone that I forgot these little things. And the day that I was supposed to leave, he was like, "Remember the book." He's like, "Remember the Bible." It's a little white Bible. And he also gave me some other stuff, like where we drew out some stuff or whatnot. Because, in those places, you have to like kill time. And all I remember, bro, is when I was leaving, I'm like, dang, all right, cool, bro. I'm about to leave out of here. Um, and then I remember I left. My parents got me, and shit felt so different when I got back into the Matrix. My parents went and took me to get a haircut. After I got the haircut, shit was shit was like it was like a reborn of some type of energy, bro. Like I didn't know how to explain it. And I remember after that I tried to make a video about it, like I said, and I was just like, damn, how can I share my story with the world, bro? How can I talk about how like I seen this one being who teleported, and then also based on conversation, like he made it rain, and then I turned around and it stopped raining. He made a group of people, including the workers in the hospital, freeze and stay in one spot. The fuck? You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't even know what type of power that is. Uh, I remember I took down his number and shit, and then maybe like a few months after, I tried to call the number and stuff, and I think it was probably about like a year after that I still stayed in contact. That after a while, like, we lost contact and stuff. But I believe that like that was a spirit or energy that can go from person to person. It was just on me to, kind of tap into that energy. So my first lesson when I went to the hospital, when I got my spiritual awakening and I was tapping into that deity, that thousand year old deity, my first lesson was number one, you don't tell people shit. You don't tell, because people not gonna understand. People gonna think that you crazy. People gonna think that you the devil. People gonna think that like, you're better than them and shit. And it's just like it's not even that. It's like people on that frequency just won't understand where I'm coming from. So that was my first initial spiritual awakening. It got crazy after that. When I hit 28, when I hit 29, um, it got crazy. And this is just gonna be part one to my spiritual awakening, bro. You know, um, and then when I explain this too, like I said, I need time and stuff. But yeah, I'm leaving out a lot. There's some more stuff that happened. Um, they try to sedate me and shit. When I got aggressive and shit, I was trying to like, I was literally asking questions like, "Why am I here?" Da da da. Um, there's a point in time. There's a point in time where somebody was talking about when one of the staff members, they called out a list of names and they called my name, and then I had to go into the room, and then they started explaining about like different types of like neurological symptoms that would be considered symptoms to the world, but it's actually kind of like a superpower, like for real. But due to the medications and all that other stuff, they was like, nigga, you need to keep this shit under wraps, nigga. So one of the powers are like the ability to see energy beyond the physical. That's one power. And you probably can do that now. Especially if you're practicing retention and if you're in the sun and if you are in Mother Nature, you'll be able to do that. Um, the issue with me was that I guess I got too woke too fast, too quick. So I had to literally dumb myself down when I got back into the Matrix. So I always knew for years that one day I would be talking about my experience, and here I am today. And of course, you just see me with the basketball, right? Also, while I was there too, I taught Anthony how to shoot, because again, there was something wrong with his hand. But man, shit, I remember this white boy. He was saying like, "Yo, you're gonna be a superstar, da da da, XYZ." And I'm like, nigga, I don't know if I'm gonna play basketball like that. Like, I love basketball, but I don't think I'm gonna be some type of superstar. And apparently, the stars was aligned for me to be some type of basketball player. Like, for sure. This is why God uses basketball to talk to me in many ways. Before I started this video, I just came from the basketball court, right? And this is how this full circle, this is how like Anthony, the mental home, this is how all this shit is coming full circle now. Because now that I cut my hair, I cut my locks, I'm kind of rebirthing myself. I'm reborn again. I don't feel like I'm that deity or anything. Don't trust me. Don't think that I'm like some person that's better than anybody. Because I'm not. I'm not perfect. I fucked up so many times in my life. You feel me? So many times. With knowing what I know, I still fucked up, right? But I went to the court today. There's 3 people at the court. A young cat and 2 older cats. I asked them, I was like, yo, can I join y'all? Because this is the first time I'm going to the court with a fresh cut. You feel me? Like, I got to come back like I'm Carmelo Anthony after he cut off the braids. So we go to playing and whatnot, and then I realized that one of the guys, he's on the spectrum. You know what this nigga said to me when we were done playing basketball? Well, first of all, throughout us playing basketball, he was like, yeah, man, you a good player, man. You a good person, man. I love you, dog. The nigga say he loved me like 5 times. And clearly, after he said it like the 3rd time, I'm like, nigga, you don't know me from a can of paint. I'm not your brother. He was calling me brother. His mom called him. He was like, hey, mom, what's up? Oh, mom, I'm still at the court. I'm playing with the fam right now. Remember, he's a little bit on the spectrum. So the average person would be like, nigga, I don't know you. Or, they wouldn't be rude, but they'll be like, all right, you on the spectrum. You not even on my frequency. But for some reason, I always respect people who's on the spectrum. Because just because socially they may not know how to be not like a regular person, that don't mean shit. A lot of these niggas are a lot more spiritual and a lot more advanced in the mind than we are. The last thing he said to me before we left the court was like, he said, damn, man, it felt like I've been asleep for 6 years. What you mean you felt like you've been asleep for 6 years? Now, mind you, I just cut my hair. I had my hair, my locks, on and off for about 8 years. But if I do the math, 5, 29. So I think I had my second spiritual awakening like 26 or something like that. 26, 27. This is right before I actually made my YouTube channel. But the way how he said, like, man, I felt like I've been asleep for 6 years, kind of reminded me of like the deity that I tapped into. It felt like that deity himself was asleep for 6 years. Now, mind you, I'm still doing my thing within this matrix. I'm finding ways how to make money, and that's the thing, bro. When you gotta make money and provide and pay bills and all that shit, yes, it's a way where you have to live and survive, but at the same time, those shits is like low-key distractions. If you're working a 9 to 5 all the time, you don't have time to reflect. You don't have time to spend with yourself and shit like that. You kind of lose your way spiritually, and now you become numb. So this is how addictions and different stuff starts to happen. Energetic relationships start to happen because we're in that age now where we're more dependent upon the phone than actual like human to human contact. So when he said like I've been asleep for 6 years, I'm like, damn, bro. I was like, you know what, bro? I felt like I've been asleep for 6 years too. Now I'm not trying to say the last 6 years of my life was a waste, because it wasn't. But I do know that a part of me, I had to bury that, because it was just like, bro, I ain't even ready. I'm not even ready to be seeing energy and listening to music, and like I couldn't do nothing in peace, bro. God was always talking to me. I couldn't do shit in peace. For real. And then his homeboy too. His homeboy was like, yeah, man. I don't know if he might have been on the spectrum a little bit too. I think he was a little bit more normal. But basically, long story short, bro, like just talking to those two gentlemen, and then of course, playing with the young cat. The young cat had to leave early and stuff. But homeboy was like, ain't you such and such from across the way? And here we go again. Every time when I cut my hair, I look like 1,000 people, my nigga. I look like 1,000 people, bro. And I'm like, nah, bro, you ain't never met me a day in your life. You know what I'm saying? But like, and he was like, all right, man, well, you take care, bro. I'm proud of you, man. Much love, man. Proud of you, man. I'm just like, all right, bro, I'm going to see you around. Like, I'll come to the court. I'll be at the court. Now, mind you, this was like the third time that I went to a basketball court when I went there by myself. Because, mind you, the deity that I was able to tap into, the nigga plays like LeBron. I'm not going to hold you. The nigga play like prime LeBron. Every time in my mind, again, when you have a superpower, and when you look at superheroes and stuff, the way how they access their power is focused energy. So anytime when I was playing basketball, after I got out the hospital and I was growing my hair back and everything, they was like, this nigga play like LeBron. This nigga play like Kawhi Leonard, because he don't say shit, but he be balling. Every time I'm like, all right, cool, I'm going to tap into my inner LeBron. I would do a move, consciously, I wasn't even out there. Like, I'll say, I'm going to do a move. I'll do the move, and I shoot and the ball goes straight in. Every time when I wasn't focused on that inner basketball quote unquote demon or whatever you want to call it, uh, or my God life force energy, because again, it depends on how people look at me. Anytime when I didn't have focus energy, I missed. But every time while I was like, tapping into Jordan, LeBron, Allen Iverson, mind you, these are just regular human beings on the face of this planet, bro. But like, I ain't gonna hold you, bro. Like, these niggas is definitely, definitely, or they was definitely operating from a deity that you have to summon. So people like Steph Curry, bro. I was Steph Curry before Steph Curry, bro. Because I was a shooter growing up. I would go to this court and I would hoop all the time, and I'm shooting deep threes, bro. I was shooting deep threes before everybody else was, bro. Literally, maybe 2 or 3 years later, that's when everybody wanted to start shooting deep threes. That's when Steph Curry came along. Tell me why, when LeBron came to Miami, I was actually working at the Miami Heat Arena, or the AAA at the time. So I was there for LeBron's first ring. I don't know. Listen. I'm not trying to say that I'm anything, but I'm just saying that shit was a coincidence. It's a huge coincidence that all of a sudden this nigga wants to take his talents to South Beach. I end up getting a job there, and I'm literally I'm working courtside. You feel me? Like, I work in courtside, so I'm walking past the Heat bench every time there was a Heat game. LeBron, Wade, Rashard Lewis, um, Chris Bosh, all them niggas, bro. Mario Chalmers. We're breathing the same air. So I don't know if it was like me, and I had the same haircut, bro. So I'm not losing my mind, but I'm just saying I'm able to tap into a certain energy that I awakened back then, but it was so like kind of a lot that I knew the world wasn't ready for me to talk about this shit. You feel me? But now with like so many people having so many like psychedelic experiences and different type of spiritual awakenings and stuff, you know, I guess now it's kind of time to talk about that. So that was just part one of my spiritual awakenings, bro. And we'll talk more about that, dog. You feel me? And again, it's been a minute since I even dropped like an hour video. I told you this shit was gonna be long, bro. I told you. But without saying too much, I'm gonna just keep it there for now. Um, and we'll talk more, bro. But if you made it to the end of this video, bro, you the goat. You probably got like a 2,000 year old, 3,000 year old. Uh, let's just for lack of a better term, let's say you probably got genes that you can reawaken within the body that's probably been here thousands of years ago, bro. This is why so many people could do so much stuff now, because they're tapping into their genes. They're tapping into the God life force. Remember, Jesus even said it himself. God is neither up or down, nor east nor west, but God is within. MGT, what it do? Is your boy Movie Star, and I'm back again with another video. If you're new, you already know what to do, man. Become a subscriber, like the video, and join MGT. This is a channel where I like to highlight current events and talk about my spiritual walk in this beautiful, fucked up, sideways ass matrix. Now, first of all, I gotta say a special shout out to anybody that's holding on to your energy, going within it, being high vibrational. Here at MGT is what we do. We work on ourselves every single day. Enjoy for the outro. Yeah, man. That type of information I've kept to myself for over 10 years. And I briefly spoke on it on this channel for those who were able to, see that video and stuff. But I dropped a little bit more of the details. So, part two is crazy, dog. Like, it's one thing where it just happens in one city, but it's another thing where it happens twice. Like, I'm not even gonna tell y'all about the time where like I actually caused a whole blackout, and I caused a whole blackout in these apartments that my homeboy used to live in. I caused the. I'm talking about. I caused a whole blackout, bro. Like the electricity, all the power went out. And I told my homeboy, I was like, not to worry, bro. Like you're gonna get power. This is some spiritual shit that's happening. I remember walking back into the house and the lights cut back on as soon as I walked into the house, bro. Shit crazy. He was there, like he can attest. He was a witness. He was like, "What the fuck? Like, how the hell did you?" I can't explain that. But yeah, I'm gonna definitely see you guys on the next video, bro. All I can say is definitely tap in and trust your intuition, but then also make sure you keep a balance within this world. Within this world, you may know a lot more than I do. You may know some spiritual, alchemistic ass type of like techniques on how to, channel that energy. Work on it. If you feel like you need to read the Bible, read the Bible. If you need to feel like you need to read the Quran, read the Quran. That ass. She should. But yeah. We'll talk more, bro. But other than that, bro, I'm gonna definitely see you guys on the next video. Make sure you like, share, comment down below, and drop a bag on the Cash App to support the team. I'll definitely see you guys on the next video, bro. Peace.